Hi there, everyone. I've been wanting to make this delicious Salisbury steak for quite a while now. It's a very comfort food. It's very hearty. It's very just wonderful. There were a few things that came up, like the holidays and a few requests, but today I'm going to show you how to make this wonderful comfort food. I hope you enjoy this. These are all the items that are going to include not only your beef patties, but your gravy. So you're going to have mushrooms, hamburger meat, beef broth. You're going to have a little cornstarch. You're going to have soy sauce and Worcestershire, a little garlic powder, salt, pepper, breadcrumbs, and egg, a little bit of tomato paste, and lately I've been using a little yeast extract, which is kind of an extra. It's not necessary. So I'll show you how to make this. We're going to start with making the beef patties first. So the recipe that I'm going to post for you is going to be for 2 pounds of ground beef, but I'm using 1 pound. So I will actually put the ingredients under the description for the 2 pound amount. So we're going to have salt and pepper. We're going to have a little bit of garlic powder in the meat. So I'm going to season both sides. And then you're going to have a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. And then we're going to do 1 egg. And we're going to do some breadcrumbs. Now mine are homemade. And then you're just going to mix everything together just like you would a meatloaf. It's the same idea. And once you get everything mixed and combined together, then we're going to make our beef patties. So what you want to do is typically Salisbury steak patties are shaped in like an oval shape, not round, kind of like this. So they're a little different from like hamburger patties that you serve. You're going to have them kind of an oval shape, kind of like a potato. So I'm molding however many I can get out of this meat. And in the meantime, I'm heating up some olive oil with butter so it doesn't burn in a pan, in a skillet, and we're going to cook these in the skillet. And this is actually a little less than 1 pound of meat. I did use the other portion of it already. So this isn't a full pound, and that's also why I'm not giving you the amounts in this, because the recipe will be for 2 pounds of ground meat. So now we're going to get ready to fry this. So you want to cook these about 5 minutes on each side. It's going to be like pre-cooking them. They're not going to be fully cooked until they actually cook in the gravy. So we can put all 4 of these in, and we're going to cook them on 5 minutes on each side. I ended up cooking these longer than 5 minutes, which is fine because I won't have to cook them as long on the other side. I probably cooked these, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, but that's okay. Next, we're going to slice our onion kind of thin because we're going to want these kind of caramelized. And normally we would be using 1 full onion, but since I'm using a lesser amount of meat, I'm going to use half of an onion. And next we're going to slice up our mushrooms that have been kind of dried. I wash my onions and then I dry them with a paper towel to kind of remove the extra moisture that they have. So we will continue to chop up these mushrooms and set them aside because we're going to cook the onions first. So I didn't cook these as much on the other side because they really don't need to be. So after you have your beef patties, actually they only need to cook 5 minutes on each side, but once that's done, you'll set them aside. And now you're going to cook your onions in the sauce here, in the gristle. So you have your beef patty set aside, and then here is your gristle from the meat that you cooked in the olive oil and butter. And I'm going to add a little more oil, and then I'm going to add a little more butter. So give it a little more moisture to cook our onions in. And then we're going to put our onions in. We're going to cook these onions 3 to 5 minutes until they're caramelized. And you want to cook these on a medium heat, not low and not high, because you don't want them to burn, but you want them to caramelize. So on medium heat. This has been about 5 minutes, so you have your onions nice and caramelized like you want. And now on about a medium-low, you're going to add your mushrooms. And we're going to cook these about 3 to 5 minutes as well. So I'm adding some more butter to give it a little more moisture in the cooking of the mushrooms. And then what you want to do is make a slurry out of cornstarch and water, which is going to thicken the gravy once that gets started. So everything's well caramelized. Now what we're going to do is add our tomato paste first, because it's thicker and it's like a paste, and I want to get that absorbed first. Then I'm adding my yeast extract, which is just kind of an extra. It's not necessary. It's just something I've been kind of using more of. And then you're going to add your beef broth with soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce. You're going to add all that together, and you're going to kind of bring it to a medium boil. And then after that, we're going to add our cornstarch slurry. After about 2 minutes, we're going to add that. See how rich that is and brown? Now we're going to put our slurry in, our cornstarch slurry. And after we do that, we're going to cook it for about 2 minutes so it thickens. And after it gets thickened, we'll put our beef patties back in. So this will be about 2 minutes. So you can see it's thickened. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add these beef patties back in. And we're going to kind of let these simmer in this for a little while until we're ready to serve it. You can have the gravy as thick or thin as you want, and the longer you cook it, it will thicken up. And if you ever want to thin it, you'll just add a little more beef broth, which we have plenty of. And I did taste this, and it tastes wonderful. I added a little bit of garlic powder, and that's what you want to do. You want to taste it along the way to make sure it's to your liking. Here we are. It's all finished. The one thing that makes meatballs and gravy or a hamburger steak and gravy a little different from Salisbury steak is that a Salisbury steak is made with mushrooms and onions. And it's the onions and the mushrooms that make such a rich, delicious gravy. So let's give it a try. Really good. Salisbury steak has a very distinct flavor from other meat dishes with gravy. It just has its own distinct flavor, and it's absolutely wonderful. So, if I could find one word to describe this meal, it's fabulous. So, I hope you give this a try, and I hope it turns out wonderful for you.